the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni case just rages on. Wait, wages on? Girl, I don't know. Whatever the case is, look, if you heard me talk about this almost a year ago, I specifically said that we are never going to know what happens with this case. I said this a year ago. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, this is a business issue. If there's 10 people involved in the issue overall, and 5 people know this very, very important piece of information, but these 5 people don't want anybody else to know, then the other 5 people that are part of the 10, they will never know this. And then when it gets out into the public, you will never know this either. We're never going to know what happens with this case because it's going to be a PR battle, and it's going to be this thing and this thing and this thing, and they're going to use a lot of cultural things and our empathy against us to try to win their own ego war. Look, I understand it. I'm on your screen right now, but these are Hollywood people. Their egos are out of control, okay? They just are. And I understand that some people may not love me saying that because maybe you're a huge Baldoni fan, maybe you're a huge Blake Lively fan. I don't know how I feel about either of them, but I will say there is one person that I really don't like, and you might think that this is a cop-out, but if you've been following the case, you probably get this. I don't like Ryan Reynolds. I think that little weasel was behind all of this to begin with. I think that he was super threatened by Justin Baldoni, and then he just went off the deep end. That is my personal opinion, and that is not a cop-out for me not to take a Blake or a Baldoni side. I think there are thousands of us, if not millions, that are looking at this case that probably don't want to take either of their sides. And if you do, that's okay. You probably have some type of information, some type of experience in life that pulls you towards one or the other, and that is fucking okay. I'm not mad at that at all. Like, shit, dude, you know what? You know what else, too? Blake Lively and her little plantation wedding. Girl, I'm black. Of course I'm not gonna like that. I think that was Ryan's idea. Did she go along with it? Yes. And I didn't forget. But personally, I genuinely think that was Ryan's idea. Okay? So I'm not a Ryan Reynolds fan. I'll tell you that right now. That's what my general take is. But what I am here for are the most shocking text messages and emails from celebrities that have come out of the Baldoni and Lively case. I haven't seen the majority of these. My producer found these letters and then organized them from the least shocking to the most shocking. And I think some of you guys know who number 1 was. But we'll get there. This one, which is a little bit shocking, but I just didn't expect this person to get involved at all, was Anna Wintour. If you didn't know, she is, the icon of Vogue magazine. She's been, the creative director, actually the person that runs everything for years and years and years. Well, Anna Wintour, who famously never even takes off her glasses at shows because she doesn't want designers to know what she thinks of their designs, actually weighed in a little bit. She emailed Blake on August 6th, 2024, at 10 p.m., mind you. She's a working woman. Anna said, "Blake, that was very brave and a moving film. The rooftop scene is brilliant. Knowing how hard a situation it was for you made me especially proud of you. All my love." And the gold dress, stunning. Blake getting Anna Wintour's seal of approval on the wardrobe, which if you've been following this, Blake mentioned that she fought pretty hard to have say on her character Lily's wardrobe in the film. I guess that's such a high compliment coming from Anna. Let's take a look at the next one. The next most shocking letter, the Damons. Exhibit 135. This is Blake Lively emailing Ben Affleck. Now, in the midst of all this, whether you think that Blake Lively was telling the truth, and she certainly was a victim of all these things or not, Blake felt like she needed allies, she needed comrades, and she needed powerful people in the industry. And I would argue Ben Affleck is a pretty powerful person. Now, whether she's telling the truth or not, to get into Ben's ear and tell him what happened first might have a trickle-down effect in the industry. And for victims that want to be believed, that is sometimes something you have to do. Get to people first. Or for people that are trying to spell their own narrative out. I'm not really sure, but I have not read this letter yet. Let's take a look. Ben, it's Blake. Don't hang up. I hope life is treating you beautifully. Ryan was going on and on about you recently amongst all that blank chaos. He was blown away by you, though he was equally effusive about your Dunkin' commercial. So, know that you have a Canadian fan club in my house, and a Burbank one too. I'm writing with a zero pressure ask. I've just come out the other side. well, almost, of the most upsetting experience I've ever had on a movie. Wait, that bothers me right there because you're telling me that you're coming at me with zero pressure, but you're telling me that you're about to dump the most upsetting thing that you've experienced in a while on me. Like, I think it depends their closest here. Maybe they're close. Who knows? The making of doc of this film would be more interesting than the movie could ever been. It's like if Wild Wild Country, Fire Festival, and Going Clear had a baby with The Room. Room also works, though. Anyway, I ended up rewriting and restructuring the entire script. I also... I said that I was going to be neutral, but this email is a little bit annoying. Hold on. Let's talk about this for a second. So the whole lawsuit, sorry, I can't even catch you up on the entire lawsuit because, guys, where do I even begin? Okay, 2 actors suing each other over a movie saying that both of them did more work and that it was an uncomfortable work environment for everyone, okay? So, and you'll get more details as I go through these emails. What kind of bothers me here is Blake Lively saying, I ended up rewriting and restructuring the entire script. I find it interesting that she says that she rewrote and restructured the entire script when the script is based on a book by Colleen Hoover, which has already been written. Is that her name? Hoover? Whatever. Hoover? If I was the author of this, I would be like, what do you mean you restructured the entire script? It was like already written for you. Okay. Anyways, so she said, I also ended up having to direct the movie via a chaotic clown director, actor, producer, financier, studio head of the center. Oh, by the way, the whole reason I decided to do this video was I was driving through LA the other day and I stopped outside waiting for my friend to come grab something from my car. And I look over and you know what I saw? Wayfair Studios. The studio that like Justin Baldoni worked for or whatever, the whole studio that's suing Blake Lively. I was parked right next to the studio. I'll put the picture into the video. But I took a picture of it. I sent it to my friend Lily. I said, bitch, is this it? I Googled it. It was actually their studio. If I would have just formally directed it, it would have been much easier. But having to troubleshoot through his taste, ego, and pre-existing decisions made it difficult that's not even touching on any of the wild HR issues and beyond. Anyway, now I'm in a bake-off with him in the edit. He's been editing since, I kid you not, July, and they gave me 10 days to do my own pass. We have a bake-off in 12 days, but I have friends and family preview in New York on Saturday in the meantime, so I can get one round of notes or feedback before we duke it out. If you have an hour and 58 minutes of free time in the next few days, would you be willing to watch the movie and give me any ideas or notes? I will pix it to you. That's like a platform where you can pre-screen something. You can literally text me a voice memo so you don't have to formally write thoughts. If your wife or kids are around, I would love their opinion also. FYI, it does cover domestic violence, so no one is caught off guard. I'm such a fan of Jennifer's. I've told her as much as every time I've met her, it would be an honor to have her take. How would you feel if you're having a rough week for whatever reason and somebody emails you and says, hey, no pressure, but could you take 2 hours out of your time and use your expertise to comment on my movie? I also need your sign off. I don't think she wants Ben Affleck's critique here. I actually don't. I think that she wants his sign off on it because it gives her more power to pass her cut. That's what I think. I think this is a bit manipulative because genuinely this email is, hey, no pressure. But I just had a terrible time with this guy. You know how it is in the movies. Anyways, if you have 2 hours, could you watch my movie? And then you don't even have to write the notes after you watch this 2-hour film on domestic violence. You can just voice memo it to me. By the way, I would love if you could get Jennifer Lopez to watch it too. Do you guys genuinely think that she wants critique from him? Who is, you know, he's been in the industry for a while. Or do you think that she wants his sign off and she also wants Jennifer Lopez's sign off? Zero pressure. I just want this to work out after all I've put into it. This movie nearly killed me. And I can think of very few people who would be as prescriptive and insightful as I know you would be. Ryan asked Matt to watch also, so I think he's watching this weekend. Good men showing up. Implicative that a good man would do this. And a good man would show up. But if you don't show up, you're not a good man. I don't like that line at all. Also, can you believe Jason Bourne is watching my movie? I'll get you an autograph one day. Don't worry. If you're still reading this, whoa, you're not nearly as busy as you think. Or you're a very nice person. Did he reply to this? Exhibit 134. An email from Ryan Reynolds to Matt and Lucy Damon. Matt Damon, you may know from, I don't know, what films was he in? What is up with them writing these fucking diatribes, bro? Okay, Ryan Reynolds said, "Hey, Matt and Lucy, if the offer is still up to watch the movie, Pix will work great. Easiest way is to log into Blake's account whenever you're ready. If you text her, she can give you the login and the code and you're in. And again, this is such a zero pressure ask to watch my 2-hour movie. We all know how important family time is when we're blank, so no worries either way. We'd love to get your well-earned POV. And if your girls want to see it on the big screens at B's Family and Friends screening on Saturday at 6 p.m., they're obviously most welcome." Yeah, if your girls want to see this movie on domestic violence. Okay. This movie has been one of the all-time zingers on and off set. One day, we'll make a movie about the movie. And we can't wait to tell you about it. The stories are already finding their place in the pantheon of legendary Hollywood insanity. Yes, they are. We're about to be off for at least 1.5 years, maybe 2 years, maybe forever. Let's play pickleball. This is so Ryan Reynolds of him. Can't you just picture him typing it like this? Like kicking his feet, thinking about having another plantation anniversary. Blake here, adding more. You guys jumped in on the same email. This is so annoying. Blake here, adding more zeros to the pressure. Thank you for even considering. And it's not a bad movie, so who knows? You may just enjoy some of it. Be warned, it covers domestic violence in key places. I just wanted you to know. This movie nearly killed me. The director, co-star, producer, financier, head of the studio, yes, all one person, had zero experience. But the good news is he also has no taste and an enormous ego, but only because he's in a cult and believes he's our century's prophet. I wish every one of these things was hyperbole. Anyway, juicy stuff. I told him day one, after so much shit had already go down, I don't need anything from you. I don't need you to guide me or make me feel good. I've got me. All I need from you is I just need you to not make me feel like shit. And that became true. What I didn't anticipate was having to do everything in this movie. I rewrote the entire script, directed every actor. The DP was coming to me when he couldn't get anything from him. So way too often. Then, after all of this, Justin wouldn't bring me to the edit. He had no idea. Well, I don't know, something redacted. He had no idea what he had because he didn't author any of it. They gave me 10 days to scrap together an edit to complete with an edit he's been making since July. I've been sleeping about 1.5 hours each night because that's obviously not enough time, so I've just been gunning it. Girl, get some sleep. Oh, wait, there's a couple emails here. Lucy Damon. Okay, Lucy says, "We'd love to watch your movie tomorrow. I'm so sorry you had an awful experience doing a job you love. We're around all weekend for pickleball. Are you guys?" And if this experience hasn't totally destroyed your soul, Blake, you should come direct your next movie at Artist Equity. We're kind of like a cult, but a really nice one. Wow, from this one simple email. I mean, Lucy doesn't send her anything as crazy as these two sent over, but she offers her the opportunity to direct another film. And then Blake responds by saying, "Where do I sign?" Matt said, "I'm looking forward to seeing his work." That's a pretty funny snide comment by Matt. He's basically taking his friend's side that, okay, I guess the experience was horrible, but can you guys chill out? Yeah. He's making a snarky comment, like assuming his cut would be bad. Blake says, "I can get it on your pics, but politically is cleanest if you just log into mine." They're not supposed to be watching it. "If you have any sense of when you'll watch it, whenever you know, I'll just have to call you with a login and 2FAT code." Lucy said, "Of course, we're happy to watch and be helpful. Let's talk tomorrow." Blake said, "Politically, because this man is also the head of the studio. Fuck my life. Sony is distributing and looking for every reason not to use his cut." Lucy, "It's insane the power this guy has with no experience to back him." I feel like, guys, don't you feel like the Damons' responses are like so reasonable? They're taking their friend's side, but like they're not like being like crazy about it, you know? Ryan said, "Several weeks before shooting and right after Blake had given birth to our son, this guy called our trainer, Don, and asked, 'How much do you think Blake will weigh in 2 weeks?' That sounds like it's for work." Then he says, "Don got very Long Island all of a sudden, and Justin backtracked and said, 'I'm only asking because I have to carry her in a scene and I have low bone density.'" Okay, hold on. Holy fucking shit. Can I... That right there strikes me as Justin Baldoni kind of being like, maybe it's true. Maybe he was being annoying. Maybe he was, I don't even know. I don't even know what that means. I can almost guarantee you that Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively were so annoyed by this comment. One, because if it's true, he's asking for his needs. But two, if he is just being annoying. Look, I'm telling you both possible sides of it. Is it so goofy? I just want to know how much she weighs because I have low bone density. That is, do we need a stunt double? Lucy said, sorry, but what the actual fuck? He's dead. Blake said, it was actually 2 weeks before. When pressed even further, he said he needed to train to adjust his bone density because, to circle back, he has low bone density. See what I mean? They were making fun of him for this. Like, they just thought he was annoying for this, okay? And then Blake said, he also told me last year that he speaks to my father often. He hopes I don't mind. My father died 3 years ago. Look, I fully believe, call me crazy for this, I fully believe that some people are very spiritual, very spiritually connected. They're tapped in. They have their spirit guides. They have their things and this like that, okay? Whether you believe that or not, totally fine. You don't tell people that you're talking to their dead family members. You don't do that. I think that's really fucking gross. So then Lucy says, what? I'm fascinated by this creep. I think you should make a movie about this guy. Blake said, I literally already have the name of my doc. Lights, Cult, Action. Ryan said, right? I've never seen anything like it. A malignantly vain, sociopathic, faux menace with almost no sense of boundaries or shame. I could see that being a Ryan Reynolds projection of himself. I can see why they personally may clash and may not like Justin Baldoni, but like so far, how did we get to this massive multi-million-dollar lawsuit? Y'all get what I mean? Then this is a Sony letter from the executives. This court document says Sony executives privately observed that the negative publicity around Lively was driven by her own conduct. So this was after the lawsuit started and there was a bit of an uproar on TikTok, which we later found out quite a bit of it was orchestrated by a PR team. So it says Sony executives privately observed that the negative publicity around Lively was driven by her own conduct. For instance, on August 11th, 2024, Tara Grant, Executive VP and Chief Communications Officer, wrote, she orchestrated all of this drama in a totally unsavvy and amateur way and basically threatened Sony and is now mad that it backfired on her. I do recall there was some email that Blake basically was like, all of these terrible things happened to me on set. If Sony doesn't back me, I am going to go public with this or something. So that's what he's referencing. Then somebody named Tom Rothman, Sony CEO, said, although Lively didn't deserve the backlash, she did bring it all on herself by refusing to listen to advice and by selling her products. What he's referencing here is Blake Lively was promoting the movie, and then at one of the events, she was also promoting her hair care products, and she named all of the drinks after certain things from the movie, and people thought that it was bad to name cocktails after a movie about domestic violence. It was like something like that. So then it says the Sony president wrote, she did it to herself. If she just let him come to the premiere or didn't make all the cast unfollow him or kick him off the movie and did what everyone ever has done in show business for time and memorial, which is to protect the show, then none of the sleuthing would have happened. The hair sell at the same time was epic level stupid. She wouldn't listen. She knows better. Whether everything happened up on set, I'm not even debating that because I do think that they found some instances of conduct that they found inappropriate. But if I'm being completely honest with you, I believe that Blake Lively wanted to take over the film. Now, does anybody in chat have a theory? Normally in my community, we do not theorize, okay? Because normally we're doing like murder cases and a lot of true crime. But here, I will allow it. Does anybody have a theory on why Blake Lively would want to take over the movie It Ends With Us? If this movie was successful, if Blake's cut was the more successful one, then Colleen Hoover might sign over the rest of her catalog for them to make more of these movies. Blake could become a PGA producer. She could, start her production company if Ryan Reynolds doesn't already have one. And then they could have the rights to all of Colleen's books, which, mind you, are incredibly popular. Colleen, I've heard, is a bit controversial, but she's got a wide library. Now, if you didn't know, Reese Witherspoon, you guys know Reese, right? Reese Witherspoon is one of the richest celebrities that were actors back in the 2000s. Do you know why? Because she started a production company called Hello Sunshine. And Hello Sunshine immediately recognized the value in turning books into movies. They had a proof of concept, and then they would quickly be turned into movies from the studio because they had a built-in fan base. And the story was already written with proof that it was successful. So Hello Sunshine started buying up all of these different book IPs, and then it became a billion-dollar company. Now, mind you, Blake Lively and Reese, Blake came in a little bit later than Reese, but she has seen the business model. To get the rights to a massive book catalog could mean hundreds of millions of dollars. So, in my opinion, if her cut of It Ends With Us was successful, she might get access to more of Colleen's books. Now, here are her emails with Colleen. Ryan Reynolds to Colleen. Colleen, I'm sending you literally every form of congratulations. I see the sky while jumping up and down and rapidly happy clapping. At one point, remember, Ryan's kicking his little feet while he's writing these. At one point, I was 3 feet from you at the after party, but I wasn't able to extract myself from the Sony Studios chairman's mouth. I'm still here in a little shock to have service. Holy fuckity fuck! You guys really pulled it off. Like Colleen, this thing is on fire everywhere. And audience have wrapped both arms around the film. You and Blake made something gorgeous out of ingredients you didn't ask for, which is what makes you both so clutch. Well, it's so funny because they weren't giving Colleen any credit at all in those other emails. It was all Blake. I heard you guys got a tummy bug and you're stuck in New York. Although it might be your body ridding itself of any residual Baldoni. Never mind, bitch. I'm reading this whole letter. I'd rather be puking in a gulag than hijacking performative feminism while practicing personal growth catchphrases in the mirror. I hope you're taking a moment to enjoy this. I know the road isn't always easy or clear when you're a creator and an apex storyteller like yourself. Can we all agree that the way Ryan Reynolds and Blake write emails is insane? When you're a creator and apex storyteller like yourself, I can imagine what it takes a very resolute mind and heart to process all the strange people with muddled intentions trying to warm their hands on your light. What's happening this weekend with It Ends With Us is a victory lap and a testament to fortitude. You've created a world people wanted to experience with a subject that's hard to talk about. You and Blake opened the movie adaptation higher than most films with budgets from 5 to 6 times larger during a movie season that was about to give up on female-led films. Was the film this successful? This is a proving point that audiences will show up for a film if it's good. So give my wife the rights to your books. A lesson the industry learns and forgets in a perfect concert with the seasons. What a complete fucking win this is. I know we all breathe in rare air. Fuckity fuck, I realize how lucky we are. You didn't really say fuckity fuck there, I just had to. But I also know how genuinely good you and B are. And seeing how people put shitty people over their knee for a good old-fashioned pants down spanking in the supermarket is a special experience I don't take for granted. Takes back to the plantation. You both chewed up this whole project on and off screen. You two are thoughtful and intentioned and relentless. And it's that same tender grit and humanity which created not only a world-renowned novelist, but the engine that got this film here. Hope you're feeling so much better, and I can't wait for us to celebrate in person. If you and Blank are still here in New York City, we're back tonight, and we would love to see you both. And if you feel like getting some fresh air, we have a whole beautiful empty cottage an hour out of the city, and it's the perfect place to unplug from the internet's digital anxiety system. Lots of love. Their tactic here is, Baldoni, puking in a gulag, disgusting, horrible man. And look at us, we're so fun. I sent you fun messages. Like, don't you love it? And I want to hang out with you. Also, I'm Ryan Reynolds, and this is Blake Lively. Also, did you guys know that we're friends with Matt Damon and Jennifer Lopez and Taylor Swift? Anyways, let me know if you want to hang out with New York rather than puking in the gulag with Justin Baldoni. Like, that's their method. We're popular and he's not. So whose side do you want to be on? You've seen this before, girl. Where have you seen it? High school. Colleen responds. A normal response. I just landed in Texas. Crying emoji. Oh, she's so me. Thanks so much for this message. This has all been such a whirlwind, both beautiful and terrifying. And I sometimes feel like I don't belong, but Blake has made me feel so welcome and valued. And I couldn't be more grateful to her. I just want to mention this. Colleen is trying to be transparent here, but she just said a vulnerability. She said, I sometimes feel like I don't belong. If you say this to people and they are preying on you, which I personally think these two are, they're going to exploit that. They're going to say, oh, she feels like she doesn't want to belong. She doesn't belong. Well, let me make her feel like she belongs, whether it's authentic or not. Then we have her. Blake has made me feel so welcome and valued. I couldn't be more grateful to her, to both of you. And yes, I saw you too and could feel you being pulled into a million directions. The numbers seem amazing. It's my first movie, obviously, so I don't really know what to compare it to. I'm still learning, but I heard we beat some comic book film on Friday. That's good. Thank you doesn't really cut it for all you and Blake have done for the film. It's life-changing more than just me. You guys are class acts, and I will stand by that forever. There is no comp for this. That isn't hyperbole. A weekend number that was around 300 mil would have been a parade worthy, but 45 to 50, maybe more. That's just not something that happens for any movie without spandex or a giant IP. This speaks volumes of you and what you've done. Hold on, Colleen's stuff is a giant IP. I would classify it as a giant IP, and it certainly speaks volumes of B. And I know things have been noisy with that schmuck. He literally hired Johnny Depp's crisis team, which is why social has been so weird. They utilize thousands of bots, and it's all kind of gross. The higher road can be lonely, but the movie opening to this historic number is a checkmate that nobody can compete with. I hope you take this all in. It's not only hard fought, but it's a very rare feeling worth holding on to. Blake has been emotionally wrecked the last couple of days. She's so happy that this worked, hoping that we all get to celebrate together soon. In this email, Ryan Reynolds says that Justin Baldoni literally hired Johnny Depp's crisis team. He knows how bad it looks in an era where some people are looking back on the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial and some people are like, oh, this was bad. He is saying it is a bad thing for him to hire this firm that works with Johnny Depp. I find it ironic, and I actually thought that this was quite performative, if I'm being honest, and I thought that it was press-driven, and this really kind of pissed me off. Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively recently went on to hire an attorney that was also the attorney for the victims of Epstein, and they got that headline. It said, Blake Lively hires attorney that worked with Epstein's victims in her newest case. I genuinely think that she just wanted that headline. She wanted that performatism because that is not who you hire for an entertainment lawyer. You hire an entertainment lawyer. You hire somebody that has PR. To me, that was very manipulative to the public. The other thing that I don't like is that I do believe that bot campaigns for public issues like this are very, very real. I do believe that there were some bots. I do believe there were bots in the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp case. I do believe that there were bots 100% in the Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez case. I know that they bought Instagram ads to smear Megan Thee Stallion. I also believe that there have been bots in the Justin Baldoni and the Blake Lively case. However, when something like this happens, it doesn't take power away from the person they're fighting to accuse the public of being bots. It takes the power away from the people. It makes the people's opinion nothing if you just sit there and claim that they're all bots. Now, if Ryan Reynolds felt like the people were fully on his side, he would not be claiming that they were bots. That's just my take. I just think that them saying, oh, this is all PR, this is all, bots, I think it takes the power away from human beings to have an opinion. Because how many of you guys have had a strong opinion on a case and maybe you're not commenting on it, but you're thinking it, or maybe you are commenting, but you start hearing all the bot accusations and you're like, well, wait a minute, I'm not a bot. And I talked to this guy over here and they're not a bot. I don't like this new method. I do believe that exists, but I don't like this method. Okay, I'm going to skip through these Colleen emails because we get the point. They're just kind of running the same game. Next, the Jenny Slate text messages. Now, if you guys didn't know, apparently Jenny Slate and Blake Lively were like, me, during the whole movie. And then when Blake Lively wanted Jenny Slate to actually get involved in the lawsuit and kind of back her up and testify on her behalf, Jenny was like, no. Jenny was like, not me, leave me out of it, So what I kind of think is a little crazy about this is that I don't know what's in the Jenny Slate messages. Unfortunately, she never wanted these to get out. They've been covered so widely. I am going to include them in the video. But also, if you guys didn't know, when people go to submit this to the courts, if you didn't know how it works, they get a letter and it says, you must send all correspondences with a third party between so-and-so dates. Some messages can be deleted. Because this isn't a criminal case, they can't forensically scrub the phone, so they're kind of running on good faith. It is possible that people can delete a message or two, but they hand over the majority and it's like, look, I did it, But the last one that we're going to get to, those messages, nothing was deleted. Nothing was deleted. But we'll see how it is in these Jenny Slate messages. Because remember, Jenny didn't want to testify. So when Blake sent these over to legal, because Jenny didn't send them, did she send everything and say, burn, Jenny, burn? Let's find out. Hi. I hope you're feeling better and that little baby is also doing okay. My manager spoke to Ange and went through the general points of the unprofessional behavior and the feeling that I have is affecting our work. She said Ange wants to speak with me too, which I'm happy to do. I did end up telling my manager the whole deal, like just all of the weird shit that Justin and Jamie have pulled, but now I'm hoping that wasn't an overstep and I actually don't know how deep she went into those details. I was going to speak with Alex tomorrow and I'm going to tell her about my own discomfort and feelings of pretty unsettled and certainly distracted from my own work. That said, if you don't want me to, I don't need to. I don't want to make anything harder on you. And if you're ever just wanting to take a moment to see how it feels when we're back on set, I get that. Jenny said, sorry for the literal novel. This last text is very long. Girl, you don't know who you are talking to. That was a short message. Blake said, all good. I think it's great she spoke to Ange. Because I haven't spoken to Justin or Jamie or Alex about the inappropriate behavior yet. You can just speak to what you've witnessed and experienced. This really feels to me like she's orchestrating this. And also, sometimes it's the dude telling his wife, you need to fix this. You need to do X, Y, Z. I don't know. I just don't trust Ryan Reynolds. She says, I told Ange that I'd asked her not to mention that so I could personally tackle since I have to try to salvage some degree of chemistry and camaraderie with Justin, who's not only my director, but love interest, and we're not even 1/3 of the way done. Jenny said, I totally get that. I'll keep it with me. My concerns about needing leadership, the remarks about my wardrobe, but they're literally coordinating on what they're going to complain about. I find that a little odd. But okay. But I'll just keep it with me. It's more to let her know that I'm uneasy and I don't want it to get worse and how freaked out that recording Stitch made me feel. Blake said, but whatever you felt or seen 100%, feel free, please. I just think there needs to be some leadership. This sounds like Blake is using Jenny to push her own agenda. Blake said, I mean, even him recording our conversations on his phone without asking us first. Ooh, I don't like that. I don't like that. I still think that it sounds like Blake is pushing Jenny to do her bidding, but if Justin's recording conversations on his phone, that's some shit too. But what did I say in the beginning? I don't really with either of them. Sorry, this is a little too Hollywood for me. It's alarming behavior. Leadership, big time. You were standing there for the thing he said to me when he said, I look hot. I said, that's not what I'm going for. And he said, okay, sexy. Then made a joke once he asked if he crossed the line. I said, yes, that he must have missed the sexual harassment meeting. Later, when you said that you used to stare at Britney Spears' midsection for hours before you finished and said, what an athlete she was and how remarkable she seemed as a young girl, he jumped in and said, same, and giggled, but then eye rolled when we just looked at him, etc., etc. Jenny said, yes, exactly. Those two are perfect examples. The first one, an example of a total overstep and unwanted comment. The second is such a great example of how I just feel inclined to shut down because I don't want to invite any other comments from him. It's just gross and stupid. Jenny, I'm going to try to snooze now, but let me know if there's anything else you're thinking. If someone said something to one of us, if we made them uncomfortable, neither of us would behave the way he does after. That's odd. He keeps referencing it or disconnects entirely or goes snippy and impatient as a director. He was so huffy after the sexy thing. I felt awful for saying something. On top of Jamie being a total goof with no boundaries or respect for work, he treats sets like a barbecue. What you said, though, is very self-aware. Neither of us are people who can take a joke. Neither of us are people who can't take a joke or who can't work or understand blue. We're not that fragile. You can't just record people without asking. Agree. You can't just speak to people sexually while not in character or while talking about the character. I don't want to be called sexy. Dude, the other day, this was like in December, I was saying about this. My favorite bartender is always calling me babe. How do I make this man stop calling me babe? Don't call me babe. I don't want that. Bring me my drink. She said, if you overstep, you move on. It's the weirdness after that makes it feel bad. Like if we speak up on vibes on set, it gets funky and the work suffers. It's all so fragile. It doesn't need to be. Just focus on the work and let's have a good time. It doesn't need to be funky. We're not the fragile ones. Remember that. Last thing, I hope to God your phone is on airplane mode. I think it's important you mention the Airbnb situation and how Jamie made you feel after. Also, the second-rate citizen thing. It's all so messy and unnecessary. Like, let's just focus on the work. Then Jenny says the next day, good morning. I had a billion dreams about this last night. super chill. Anyway, yeah, I agree about just mentioning the interpersonal dynamics as the source of dysfunction. I see what you're saying about making it WGA and stuff. The central issue is about their behavior for sure. Jenny said, I truly am so sorry that I made that remark about our tiny bedroom in our shitty Airbnb. I think back on it now, referencing that it was bad for sex and just realizing that that is inappropriate to say. And I hope you know that it wasn't the settling for that kind of remark. And also knowing that you guys sleep as a fam, it must have just seemed like such a bummer judgment. Blake doesn't give a shit what Jenny Slate said. Blake doesn't give a shit about Jenny Slate making any sexual comments. Jenny Slate saying, I used to stare at Brittany's midsection. What was the context of that conversation? And then also, she doesn't care about Jenny saying that a small bedroom is bad for sex. Blake doesn't care about that. She just hates Justin Baldoni. Jenny's apologizing here because she's afraid that she's fucking next. Wish I had not said that. And as you said, we move on. But I do want you to know I remember it and regret it. And I'm so sorry if it made you feel upset. Basically here, you can see that Jenny Slate and Blake Lively get together and they go to complain about the on-set behaviors. That does feel a little odd to me, but I also can understand if you're afraid of not being believed in the workplace, talking to a friend and saying like, you heard this, right? Yes, I heard this. Okay, you heard it. Yeah, I'm going to talk to him about this. That's not too weird. But I still stand by everything I said in the previous emails. Exhibit 45, Taylor Swift and Blake Lively. Blake said, if you get here with this doofus director of my movie is still here, I'll be ushering him out, but hope he's still here. Can you do me a huge favor? I need help with him. Can you tell him you're excited for the movie? That you read the book, but what you're freaking out over is the pages I sent you. What a magnetic scene that is, or whatever descriptives you're comfortable with. I'll send you the scene. You don't have to read it. It's a quick read. He's a clown and thinks he's a writer now and got this rewrite and told me he appreciates my passion. That's it. So having the greatest living storyteller unknowingly echo to him now how much you love what we're doing, giving him credit as if he wrote them with me, will go such a long way. So she's telling Taylor, hey, I'm going to send you this thing. You don't have to read it, but can you just say that you love it in front of Justin Baldoni? She said, you dug a movie out of a grave once already for me. And then she sends the script. And then Taylor responds and says, I'll do anything for you. Somebody deleted something because it says sender/recipient name not available. Girl, they try to get rid of these messages. Blake says, I love you. Thank you. Text me when you're on your way. I'll have Molly meet you in the security in the garage. She said, headed your way. I'm on your street. See you soon. Sophia headed down now. I feel like I should not be reading the Taylor Swift text messages. I feel like I should not. But she's very normal. She's like, I'm on my way. Love ya. Blake said, you're so epically heroic today. I recapped every moment to Ryan. I kept remembering stuff. You making shit up about me and lenses and referring to yourself as my doll. This clown falling for all of it, but also resisting it. You are the world's absolute greatest friend ever. So basically, Taylor helped scare this man into thinking like, oh shit, Taylor Swift pull. Taylor said, I won the lottery. You are the coolest person in the world. And you like me. So she sends that. Blake says, the most bonkers part to me is him saying that that he doesn't know pop culture made me more mad than anything he's done to me. His entire brand is dissembling toxic masculinity. He monetizes it. He does TED Talks, but says that to you. Not only is it so, she's trying to make Taylor mad on her behalf. Like, just say what you're mad about, girl. You don't have to start to say what I should be mad about. I don't like when people do this. That's me personally. I don't like that. I like when a friend gets mad about something that I'm mad about, but Taylor didn't say she was mad about anything. Blake is basically like, here's what you should be mad about. He didn't know who you were. He didn't know how popular you are. But I do also believe that Baldoni was trying to, if he really did say like, oh, I don't know much about pop culture, it's like he's trying to take away a little bit of Taylor Swift's power in that moment because he's feeling really intimidated. Blake says popularity doesn't normally coincide with laurels. In very few cases it does. Steve, shut up. I've been raging about it ever since, even though I know it all comes from what you said perfectly. He just wants to be in the room, but has to act like he doesn't. I see it. I understand that it's opposite day with him. God, she hates him. I don't doubt that there were some uncomfortable comments made on set. I have seen some myself by going through this. But does anybody else feel like these two people are just a complete personality clash? I feel like Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have this kind of cynical, like kind of Hollywoodness to them. And then Justin Baldoni is like, I'm spiritual and I don't know if it's a cult, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But like whatever you think they are, these two people just seem like a complete mismatch. And when you put these types of people together, the popular kids are going to make fun of the, oh, I do this and I love my family and blah, blah, blah. Like, they're going to hate him. That's just how those two, like, I don't think that they like each other as people. The author, Colleen, reached out to me because Justin is on an internal smear campaign trying to get his edit through. She was horrified and reached out to her own to talk to me. Turns out he fucking lied. She's not Baha'i. She never has been. She's not friends with him at all. She actually hates him. She was his safety net all along. Meanwhile, he shut her out and won't include her in anything and told her that she has no voice or value yet, paraded around in front of cameras or goodwill, and told us that all of his decisions he got pushed back on were her ideas. Wild. She flew to New York where I screened my cut for the first time yesterday. It killed the room. Bradley came. He watched it twice. He has been an absolute fucking hero. He has made me feel so good about the cut. Matt and Lucy Damons saw it and gave it notes instead and just wrote to Tom Rothman to try to push my edit through without a bake-off with Justin. Tom Rothman was the Sony CEO that was talking shit about her a minute ago, which also is what Colleen is pushing for. It's wild and crazy times. All Taylor said was, no one should ever get into a war of wills with you. And I'm so excited to see it. She means the film. Blake, anytime you have free time, I'll send it to you. It's actually a fun watch now. Still trying to get people to watch her 2-hour movie. If you are Taylor Swift, you know how, look, hold on. I need you to pretend like you're Taylor Swift for a minute. Do whatever you got to do to get into character. Imagine your friend has been complaining about this guy for months. It's like all she talks about. And you also feel like she's kind of trying to manipulate you a little bit. That comes up in some future texts, which I did read and I'll read to you in a second. And imagine you're so annoyed by this. It's like when a girl is constantly talking about her ex and like, you're like, dude, this is toxic. It's going to end soon. Why are you wasting my time with this? I love you. I don't want to talk about this guy anymore. She's constantly talking about this guy. And then she's like, also, will you watch my 2-hour movie? I'm Taylor Swift. I'm busy. I can't. I'm Taylor Swift. I'm Taylor Swift and I'm busy. Exhibit 89. The falling out of Taylor Swift and Blake Lively. Potential falling out. So a year after all this has been going on, the first texts I showed you were from like 2023. We're now in 2024. And Blake texted Taylor and said, hey, just checking in. I have no reason to ask, but don't know. I've been feeling like I should. Is everything okay? I felt like a bad friend lately because I was such a sad sack who only talked about my own shit for months. You were generous to not only be the key person there for me during all of it, but also to let me off the hook for being so in it. But I still have a feeling that something may not be right. I told Ryan. He said to just ask you, but I felt so stupid and like it sounded needy and awkward for everyone, especially because I can't explain why I have this feeling. And you know I have toxic masculinity, so I can't be needy. But also, I do want to know that everything is good, so I'm asking. I always want the opportunity to be a better friend if there's something I unintentionally did. I know how busy and taxed you are physically, emotionally, practically, so don't expect any more from you ever. Just want to make sure all is good. If I got this message from a friend after a year of talking about another guy to me, and just like in my scenario, it's always a friend talking about a guy that you know is toxic as fuck, and you're like, please, I love you, get away from him, you know? But I feel like this is vaguely similar in that sense. And I'm like being ignored to constantly talk about this annoying guy. I would hate to get this message because it's like, hey, did I do something calculated for the past year? Did I? I want you to do the emotional labor and tell me what I did. When like, you know, come on. So Taylor said, no, you're not wrong, but it's also not a big deal. I think I'm just exhausted in every avenue of my life, and in recent months, have been feeling a little bit of a shift in the way you talk to me. Yes, there has been a lot of the Justin stuff, but I've been through things like this before, and I know how consuming it is. It's more like, and I feel really bad saying anything about this because your texts have been so nice in their intent, but your last few, it's felt like I was reading a mass corporate email sent to 200 employees. You said the word we like 18 times, and it feels awful to be in any way critical of the way you process what you've been going through, but it's just I kind of miss my funny, dark, normal speaking friend who talks to me as herself, not like a plural unit when it's a group I'm hearing from. I feel distanced from you, even when we're geographically blank redacted. And I know that you feel attacked from all sides for ridiculous reasons, so you're feeling like you have to overly explain things or be nice or whatever, but it's me. It's just caused a little distance. And you don't need to apologize. Just please come back. That makes me kind of sad. Dude, that makes me kind of sad because Taylor is like, hey, you've been talking to me in a really weird way. It makes me feel like not a human. I always feel like people are talking to me like I'm not a human. And I missed you being my friend. So we don't need to have a long conversation about this. You don't need to make excuses or say all of this stuff. Can my friend just come back, please? Girl, that's so sweet. Blake said, dear valued customer, thank you for your feedback. We at headquarters are reviewing your concerns and will get back to you in a timely manner. For real though, you're right. I literally deleted the awful thing I was going to end with that bit because I've become digitally paranoid. The irony. I don't know if you experienced that with phone calls after what happened to you, but after the thousands of text messages that weren't meant for me that I've been reading, the irony. I've internalized that everything digital may be the irony. I say that knowing it's irrational, but my brain can't accept rationale there. So yeah, I've been texting like I'm writing, not like me talking. I didn't realize that until you pointed it out, but I see it. No, I think you knew that. On top of that, I'm over packaging simple things because I felt so deeply misunderstood that I don't trust my judgment of myself anymore. That sounds like the top, but it's true. This fucking guy and what he did to me gave me an identity crisis, legitimately. The thing that spooked me the most in all of this wasn't the bad guys being bad guys. It was the good guys, my lifelong friends, allies to women who dipped quietly. And so I'm probably being over the top with my friends who stayed because I've never felt more alone. This track is very violent heavy. I hate it. Point is, I'm being a stupid paranoid weirdo and felt it, but didn't know when, how, when. So thank you for telling me, for saying I don't need to apologize and for not making it a big deal. But I am sorry to you and I'm sorry to our kids. Fuck that guy and fuck his whole gaggle of supervillains. You've got enough on you. You don't need to write back to all this. Just letting you know I see it now. And thank you. I'm excited for you to be done with the suitcases, constant sinus infections, and torn up kneecaps. Your submission will be processed shortly. We appreciate your patronage, Blake. I also just don't like this because I think Blake knew that she was being a shitty friend, but she was seeing how long it could go on, like complaining about Justin and using Taylor to intimidate him. And then Taylor had to put in the emotional labor to call Blake out, but she did it because she just wanted her friend back. And then Blake is like, oh, fuck. Yeah, I see it. Okay, I'll stop. But like, I feel like you knew. I mean, has anybody else ever dealt with this before in just like friendships? Taylor said, oh my God. Okay. Taylor said, first paragraph took me out. Blake said, if only I sent you the unplugged version. I sent you a voice memo, but it doesn't show on our thread, which is really helping my case of not trusting phones. Did it go through? Taylor said, yes. I'm just falling asleep. We'll listen tomorrow. Love you. Why is this making me like Taylor Swift? Blake said, it's the length of a mini series. Sleep. Yeah, Lord. Girl, hold on. It's 2:30 in the morning and she probably sent her a 5-minute voice memo at 2 a.m. The girl is on tour. Blake said, XX, love you. And then, so Taylor texted her back the next day at 3 p.m. and said, I think this bitch knows something is coming because he's gotten out his tiny violin. So Taylor doesn't respond to the voice memo, but sees a post on People magazine. It says, Justin Baldoni struggled for years after being sexually traumatized by an ex-girlfriend. On a wide-ranging episode of Elizabeth Day's How to Fail podcast, he spoke publicly for the first time about being diagnosed with ADHD. So Taylor sees an article about him and said, okay, I just gotta say something. I personally think that Taylor just wanted her friend back and she's trying to bond with Blake in the only way that she knows she can bond with Blake right now. Y'all ever done that? Talk shit with your friend over something that you know she's passionate about and you're just like, yo, I miss my friend. Okay, yeah, I hate it too. I think that it sucks that Taylor got pulled into completely like trashing like the movie and this guy and this business and intimidating them, because I don't think Taylor would have done that if she didn't feel the loyalty to Blake to do that, you know? Doesn't necessarily mean that it's right to jump into that, but like, I understand the homie shit. I get the homie shit, okay? I just do. Blake said it rings different when he doesn't end the story by saying, did I always listen when they said no? No, like he did with me, but that must not have tested well in the focus group. He's being honored at the Vital Voices for Women event on Monday. Taylor said, this is so disgusting, and I hate that he's clever about this shit. Blake said, this inspiring event celebrates men who are using their power. Okay, Taylor said, well, not him, her. Taylor said he needs to be beaten by his own words. Blake's still harping on the fact that he's being honored at this event. I actually think it's important he's honored, and to all the people honoring him and not taking a moment to question, no one talks to him, no one will say his name, and no one follows him. Well, you orchestrated that, and you wanted that to give you power. She did that. She had the cast unfollow him. She had him kicked out of events, and she wanted that to be effective. So she's basically saying, how come my actions of exiling him after the group aren't affecting his ability to win an award? She's angry about that. Yet they are all close with each other. Maybe it was him. Nah, it was the women because they wore flowers. That's how you know. Taylor said, Jesus Christ, is everything still on track? Blah, 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 blah. I have one last set of messages here. Does anybody know what the final set of messages are that I was surprised about? It's the Jameela Jamil text. Which I kind of feel bad about because Jameela commented on one of my Instagram posts recently. But I was like, dude, these were crazy. The Jameela texts were crazy. Okay, so Jennifer Abel was one of the women that were on the PR team. And I guess she's friends with Jameela Jamil. And so they started texting about the case. So this is from August 2024, when everything starts to break. I guess something gets sent to Jameela, or she sends it over first. And Jameela says, oh my God. And then she sends this TikTok, probably something about Blake Lively. And then Jennifer Abel, who was kind of orchestrating a bit of these campaigns, she said, yes. And then Jameela sends over a voice memo. Now, we don't have the voice memo itself. However, Jennifer responds to this voice memo, and based on her response, I think you can infer the context of what Jameela said. Jennifer responds and says, I want to officially incorporate nightmare and demon into my vocabulary. Unbelievable. She's doing this to herself. Jameela says she's a suicide bomber at this point. So I'm assuming in that audio message, Jameela is probably sitting there calling Blake Lively a nightmare or a demon, which is crazy because you guys know Jameela is like, she's always been like a hardcore supporter of feminism. So I think it was a little bit shocking to hear her say this about Blake Lively, but hold your tongues on that because as somebody that is like indifferent about Jameela Jamil, I want you to see how she responded to all of this afterwards. Then Jameela said, did you see Blake post that survivors link? Dead. And then Jennifer said, oh yes, it's so sick. Jameela said, so cold. Jameela, just some stats and a link. Yo, oh, wait, hold on. This is fucked up. Jennifer then says, I'm thinking about having Justin share it. Hold on. I gotta say here, what Jameela is actually calling out is that she thinks that Blake is not actually about feminism, which, okay, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if Jameela had a little detector in her. She could probably tell. But she's basically saying she thinks that Blake is not really about feminism, and she just posted some statistics about women and feminism and some link to something, and she's saying she doesn't really care. If you're somebody like Jameela that is extremely passionate about it, I think that would annoy you. Jennifer says, I'm thinking about having Justin share it. A little smiley face. And Jameela said, ah ha ha ha, no, keep him away from her. Keep him silent. Now, the reason why Jameela, her messages are so shocking here are because I think it's because she's always so outspoken about feminism. Basically, when Jameela's text messages got leaked, a bunch of Blake Lively supporters were saying she's a hypocrite. She doesn't support women. How could she say this stuff? I will say nightmare. Yo, that is a little bit crazy. But Jameela's response was basically, feminism does not mean supporting every single woman. I actually kind of believe that because, hold on, let me explain. When we really put out, like when we were really going into it a couple years ago, what happened was almost no women were fucking believed about anything. We had to swing the pendulum really, really hard in one direction. 5 years ago, anytime a woman spoke up about anything, like I'm just being real, it was always ripped apart, like, and then just immediately told no. There was not even an evaluation of whether part of it could even be true. Throughout all of this, I've said, dude, I'm not a Lively fan, but there are parts of it where I'm like, oh, that's valid that she's pissed off that Justin Baldoni said that. 5 years ago, we didn't have that space at all, okay? But feminism does not literally mean, what is that one tweet? It's like, I am not a feminist. Some of you bitches are very dumb. Yeah, you know what? That is true. Some people are very fucking dumb, okay? And then also, you're allowed to like not support certain things that you don't fucking believe. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person, okay? And then also, I'm not going to judge you on what you do or don't believe. Hey, at the end of this whole video, if you're like, I support Blake Lively, or you're like, I support Justin Baldoni, or this is too fucking Hollywood for me, I'm out. I don't give a shit, okay? When everything first started, I did feel like Blake was just taking down like Baldoni's like whole like business, and like it, like I think that's pretty fucked up to like ruin somebody's entire life over personalities clashing. But like as I like read a few more things, I'm also not a Baldoni fan either, you know? I've met a lot of men that are like truly supportive of women, like their careers, like are emotionally intelligent, are like very, very good to women. And they don't always get up on a fucking soapbox speaking at women's events and having a podcast about this and, oh, I'm so soft. Look, I'm sorry. For me personally, it's giving a little bit performative. I said, don't kill me. Don't kill me. It's giving a little bit performative. And I did. Afterwards, I kind of just came to the conclusion, I don't really fuck with either of them. And I know it's a crime to be neutral on the internet these days, but if I have to pick somebody I hate, it's definitely Ryan Reynolds.